some ranged firepower.
Hey everybody, this is Spoonie, and the age of Overwatch might be coming to an end. The entire Overwatch 2 mess left a bad taste in a lot of players' mouths, and the game has just never really recaptured the attention of players the same way that Overwatch 1 did. There are a lot of reasons for this, and they vary a lot depending on who you ask, but the end result is the same. Overwatch 2 just didn't have the same soul as Overwatch did. And that has left a gap in the market for a new game to come along and scoop up that player base. And though a few have already tried, Marvel Rivals seems to be the clear winner as the successor to Overwatch. Who took my name? This is not a common name. Marvel Rivals manages to keep the same formula as similar games like Overwatch and Team Fortress, where you go between attacking and defending objectives, but it adds its own twists onto it, which makes it feel new while still familiar enough to just jump right in and know what's going on, at least in terms of what the goal is. Plus, it's Marvel, so they have an absolutely massive library of heroes to draw from and add to later. A lot of those heroes are some of the better known heroes in the Marvel Universe, but a lot of them are also the kind of obscure ones that people who aren't familiar with Marvel may not be aware of. For example, Squirrel Girl and Jeff the Landshark are here, which is awesome. One thing I really appreciate is that they also didn't use the movie versions of these heroes. They didn't necessarily use the comic versions either, and definitely took some liberties to put their own spin on the heroes, but I personally think they all look great. I've seen some criticisms about how hulking some of the beefier heroes are, except the Hulk, but honestly I think that was a great choice. If they had made them all similar standard proportions, then they would be difficult to distinguish at a distance, especially in the chaos of the team fights where things are already hectic and difficult to keep track of. Either way, love it or hate it, I'm just really glad I'm not running around as Chris Pratt Star-Lord here. It was a decent movie, I'm just not interested in playing a Hollywood star-themed MOBA. Aside from the hero design, the UI is also great. Seriously, I love the chunky outlines of the heroes with plenty of pop out when hovering over icons and portraits, and the little touches like lightning and shockwaves when you click or hover over menus and settings options really makes the game feel polished, which is a real breath of fresh air in the era of early access. I will admit that the menus and main screen, despite looking great, are a little confusing and cluttered, but it doesn't take much more than a few minutes of poking around to get your bearings and figure it all out. The tutorials for heroes are also really well done and helpful, but like with any team battle game, when you're brand new, I find that the real tutorial is just jumping straight into some unranked games and getting your butt kicked like the scrub that you are. I find this method helps you quickly learn what does and doesn't work against what heroes, and also gives you a better feel for how you enjoy playing the game and the type of role that you might want to play as your main. Now obviously, as I mentioned, this game is going to get compared to Overwatch a lot. And that's because it's basically Overwatch Marvel Edition. And that's okay, because this game is somehow just like Overwatch and Team Fortress, and nothing like them at the same time. It's much less linear than either one of those games, at least as far as the combat goes, because it's chaos in here. The battles in Marvel Rivals are a cacophony of fists, webs, lightning, and more fists. But that chaos is what makes the game just a little bit different. In Overwatch, it was much cleaner in terms of what everyone's role was in the match. Overwatch felt more like you had time to kind of think up about what you wanted to do, whereas in Marvel Rivals, any plan you might have had will take a Mike Tyson level haymaker to the face as soon as Venom comes crashing into you, followed by the Hulk or a Groot with Jeff the Landshark on his shoulders. Seriously, the Groot combos in this game right now are insane. Groot is so much more terrifying than I expected him to be. I don't want to call those combos OP, they're not. But just so you know, if you see a Groot with Jeff the Landshark on his shoulders, you had better find your tank and back them up. You're gonna need them. And this is another example of how Marvel Rivals has found a way to distinguish itself from Overwatch and other team battle games. Rivals has introduced a team-up mechanic that creates synergy through passive or boosted abilities and even some extra skills between heroes. And there's a lot of them. For example, if you pick Venom, Spider-Girl, and Spider-Man on the same team, you get this barrier that damages anyone that comes near you and knocks them back while it's active. And likewise, if other certain heroes play together, they become even more formidable. It's a really fun way to make each battle a little different, even if you're just going to spam Spider-Man all of the time. You know who you are, and you're a problem. This can also really change the role of a hero. Some heroes which may play more like a support DPS are now full-on DPS, and some which may have been a support can easily become tanks with the buffs that they get from team-ups. So in Marvel Rivals, roles are a lot more flexible than they were in Overwatch or other team battle games. A lot of the boosts are passive bonuses, but those can make all of the difference depending on if you are attacking or defending. There are a lot of these, and I have a strong feeling that these are going to be altered a lot between seasons in order to switch up the metas that are undoubtedly going to emerge as a result of them. So I won't spend too much time going over each one of them individually, plus, like I said, there's a lot of them. So it gives you a lot of ways to play and switch things up, and yeah, team up abilities was just a really cool idea that plays really well into the Marvel Universe lore. They give people more motivation to pick teams that have synergy, even if you do have a friend who isn't going to stop playing Spider-Man as a tank no matter how often he dies. Again, you know who you are, and you're a real problem. There are also a lot of heroes to choose from, and each has really different skills and abilities that play into their individual lore, and while I haven't played every hero yet, the ones I have played are all really different and fun. There is definitely something for everybody here. I also really like that you can swap heroes mid-game if you want, or if you pick a new hero to try out and decide that it's just not really for you, you're not stuck playing that hero if you don't want to for the rest of the match. This probably helps a lot with people who might otherwise abandon the match once they decide that they don't like their hero, or someone else picks the hero they wanted to play. There is a 5-star rating of difficulty based on how complex your hero is, but even among the 1-star heroes, I would say that the Punisher is by far the easiest hero to play, and if you're the kind of player that wants to rack up kills, then this is the easiest hero for you. That is of course assuming that you're at least half decent at first-person shooters. With Punisher, the abilities are all pretty straightforward, and you will likely often spend time outside of the objectives just raining down fire on enemies, so it's a great way to get to know the game from a distance. If you are playing a new hero and forgot what your abilities do or just didn't look in the first place, then pressing F1 will give you a quick overlaid look at the hero's abilities. You can do this at any time, even mid-match, and like I said, you can also change your hero by pressing H to take you back to the hero select screen where F1 also works. So the game makes it really easy to explore and find something that you think looks fun. If you don't get the hero that you want at the start of the match because someone else has already taken it, check back regularly as people tend to change heroes pretty often, especially right now while the game is still new. Be quick though, people snatch up heroes really fast, and it is first come first serve, and though there have been some complaints about this, the developers have said that they have no current plans to add a role queuing system or draft pick of any kind. The only place that exists is in the upper tiers of the ranked system. And as far as matchmaking goes, the games are found really quickly. You basically press the button and are instantly in a match. No doubt thanks to the nearly 500,000 people playing this game on Steam alone. So not including everybody on Xbox, PlayStation, Epic, and every other method of play. Plus, there is crossover between all of those platforms, so the player count here is extremely strong. And this is all great news, especially for people who like to play ranked, myself included, but you can't just jump straight into ranked. Rivals keeps people who are new from being able to just jump into ranked matches and instead forces you to play unranked quick matches until you have reached level 10. This only took me a few hours of playing, and that includes some breaks I took, so if ranked is what you're interested in, then you should be able to easily accomplish reaching level 10 on your first day of play and start your ranked journey. Overall, it has so far been a really fun experience, but that doesn't mean it isn't without its flaws. There are of course a few things I wish they had done or think they could have done better. First has got to be the chaos of battle. And yes, this is one of the things that I mentioned was a positive thing that set this game apart, so it's a bit of a double-edged sword, because it also makes roles a little difficult to define. Unless you are in a group with friends or a party of people that are focused on playing together, things escalate into a chaotic brawl so quickly that it's difficult to see what your allies are doing and for them to see what you're doing. It can often be very hit or miss if you're ever able to actually use those combos and team-up abilities. Maybe it's a time to kill issue, or maybe it's the massive speed and mobility of some of the heroes. It's hard to pin down what's causing this breakdown, and while it doesn't break the game, it does leave me wanting a bit more teamwork in my games where I was playing as a solo queue. This is also true for the voice chat, especially in public matchmaking. You can't really call out anything because things change so rapidly. The same can be said for the ping system. It exists, but it's not really used by anyone. So hopefully that's something that can be addressed later with balances or new metas, or not. It's still a fun game without those things, it just feels a bit less cooperative than some of the other team battle games. And while the levels are gorgeous, they are also kind of similar in terms of terrain and what we've seen before. They are all branching pathways with a few stairs or open areas that allow flanking, but I would have loved to see some more variation in this. Maybe some levels that are more open fields or just something a little different than what we've seen before. Which brings me to my main complaint. And that is that while this is definitely a game that fills a gap in the market and is a worthy successor to Overwatch that has some fun new twists, I do wish they would have taken some more risks and a few chances on innovation. It is a really fun game, so please take all of these criticisms with a grain of salt. But it isn't something that you haven't played before. I would have really enjoyed seeing some new game modes, maybe an assault defense scenario that we haven't seen before. I don't know, something. None of this is going to stop me from playing. Like I said, it's a really fun game, and to be honest, if those are my biggest complaints, then they did a great job on this one. Plus, it's free, so you have absolutely nothing to lose by trying it out. But free or not, there is still some monetization through a battle pass and some skins available for purchase, but overall, the monetization isn't too in your face, and it's not terrible here. It's almost entirely cosmetic, and a lot of the cosmetics look great. You can earn currencies over time as well, so if you're patient, you don't really have to buy anything, and you'll still be able to get a few skins. My final complaint is once again about the chaotic nature of the gameplay here. I think this is something that can be overlooked when you're playing the game, especially as a brawling sort of team fight focused game, but in terms of competitive play, especially casting, I think this might become a problem for Marvel Rivals. I can't imagine how difficult it will be to be an announcer on the esports stage with this game being played. It's hard enough to know what's going on when you're only focused on your own play. It would be really difficult to watch a team play this and feel like you had a grasp of what's taking place aside from who's winning at that exact moment. I don't know, those are my only issues. I guess we'll see how it goes. A lot of those guys are really talented, so I'm sure they'll figure it out. Either way, definitely give this one a try. Like I said, it's free. You got nothing to lose. Don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps my channel, and if you want to stay up to date on gaming news and developments, make sure you subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.